Okay, guys, so I just want to do a video really quick on this. Um, on this video where you have this pro-life advocate going to this college explaining, why the pro-life people are against abortion. You had college students, and college, I mean, these kids spend a lot of money to go to college. Their parents do everything else. And it's to pay for a higher education. But you have these students comparing a baby in the womb as a tumor, as a parasite, as all these different crazy things. Now, I don't want to get too much into myself, but I did graduate college with a nursing degree. I worked as a nurse for 12 years. I did many 16-hour shifts. And I can tell you right now, when you look at science, biology, and what happens in the womb with a baby. First of all, a parasite does not even fit the scientific term of a baby in the womb. People really have that confused. And I just want to mention, for me, life begins at conception. When that sperm meets the egg, which forms a human with its own unique DNA, unlike the mother and father, but from the mother and father, and that DNA is human. I mean, unless any of you can tell me the last time a woman was pregnant with a dog or cat, um, that is a living human with their own unique DNA. And the heartbeat starts at 6 weeks. I've had 3 kids. My last son, who is almost 18, he was born at 21 weeks of pregnancy. He was the earliest baby born, and mind you, I mean, technology and healthcare has come a long way since 18 years ago. And this was 18 years ago, and he is a healthy young man today. I mean, he was so tiny, like you could see through his skin. You could see his valves, you could see his veins. They had to put an IV right here because his veins were so tiny. His butt to rump, his rump of his butt to his head could fit in my hand. He could fit in a cigar box. There wasn't even preemie clothes that would fit him. He had to wear doll clothes that I literally had to buy from Walmart, like doll clothes. He was so tiny. He was sent home with a feeding tube. I couldn't breastfeed him off, my breast because he couldn't swallow and breathe at the same time. So he had a feeding tube that went down his nose, down into his stomach. I had to listen to the stethoscope every time to make sure that, where I was putting it, that wasn't getting into lungs or anything before I convaged my breast milk into there. I had a pump, which is very, like, you women that breastfed and had to pump, you know how raw it gets. It's not easy. Back and forth, to the NICU all the time, bringing my breast milk, and it was an hour and a half drive each time there, and being there. And when I was there were these twin babies that were in the little hub. I call them hubs, but they're incubators that were next to them that you would not think would have survived. And with the NICU, what you do is, when your baby turns a year old, you go back and you show the nurses and they take the picture. They put the picture on the wall. And these cute little twin boys that nobody would have thought would have survived, they were leaving that day. Get out of there, Bella. Boo, get. They were leaving there that day with their parents on my son Marcus's 1-year anniversary, bringing him there. So I thought that was pretty amazing. And when you have children in the NICU, moms start talking to each other. They pray together. It's like a family. It's a hard thing. So when you think of women that have abortions, you think about how much you care about this child, and you see this child, you see their arms, you see their legs, and know that, hey, there is a woman that kill these babies in the womb at this age throughout the United States. I mean, 24 weeks is the basic. I mean, the United States actually has a higher mark, and in New York, you can have an abortion anytime up to birth. It literally says anytime to pregnancy for the woman's health. And under woman's health, under the Reproductive Act of New York, it says depression, anxiety, this or that. So let's say, you know, a pregnant woman at 9 months has some anxiety and depression, which isn't abnormal, and she decides she wants to have an abortion. She can have that, even though the baby's completely healthy. Even though it's not her physical health, it's her mental health. And this is why they had to put this. There is no reason for a late-term abortion. No reason at all, even for the baby's health. Okay, let's say the baby does have issues. Okay, give birth through the magic 6-inch birth canal or a C-section. Let nature take its course. Do whatever. But there is no reason to kill it. The baby comes out the same way either way in late term. The only difference is if you kill it first. It still has to come out the same way because we don't, we don't fart them out. It doesn't work that way. We don't cough them out. They come out either through a cesarean or through the birth canal, which at that point in late pregnancy, you either have to have your labor induced to push it out, or they go in with forceps and just literally, like, it's sickening. Rip it from limb to limb. Or you push until normally the feet would be first, and they wait till the head, the face still has to be in the birth canal. They take a scissors, jab it in the back, suck out the brains. The hands are already out of the womb. They go limb. You actually see fists going like this. If you guys have ever actually watched such videos, they're out there. It's sick. It's disgusting. It's evil. And then people bring up the thing about rape. I was listening to I can't remember her name. I wish I remembered her name, but she was a African-American woman who was talking about this, and she was totally pro-life. And she said in their time during slavery, many, many years ago, way before any of our time, we've never lived during slavery. Nobody out here has ever owned slaves. That's happened hundreds of years ago, whatever. But, brothers and sisters and this and that, were forced to have children together to make more workers. And they never had abortion. They didn't look at that child as any different because of the way it was conceived, because it was still a child. You don't punish the child for the father's sins or vice versa. You just don't do that. And my Nana, back in the 40s, in Milwaukee, she was raped by a black man, and I have an aunt today who is mulatto. Back then they had the back alley abortions, but my grandfather and grandmother, my Nana, they just figured, they're not going to do that. God bless them with this child. They're going to do what they can do. And at that time in Milwaukee, my grandparents got racism from both sides because mixed children were not accepted at that time. They had a cross burned on their lawn. They had their bay window broken. They had their tires slashed. They had my aunt at 5 years old, because she had different hair, mixed from white to black. It was a little more nappier, had it started on fire by black children. She wasn't accepted by either race, and it got very dangerous for their family, when she got a little older, I believe she was 6 years old, when they had to do an open adoption, and she got adopted to a fully African-American family down in Georgia, but she's still part of our family. We still see her, and I have cousins blacker than black, that you would never believe have Polish and German blood also running through their body. This means nothing. But when it comes to abortion, let's just be frank, you guys, okay? A woman is not pregnant with a dog or cat. It is a human. It has human DNA. It is living. It is not a parasite. It is not a tumor. They have a heartbeat that starts at 6 weeks. The Supreme Court, when Roe versus Wade was passed, a matter of fact, the woman that all completely revolved around ended up joining the Right to Life. She was totally upset with how they took her case, It was not to be that way. She's totally against abortion. She joined the Right to Life, and she was very much a part of it until she died. But when the Supreme Court ruled that, they ruled that each state would be able to regulate it. They couldn't completely ban it, but regulate it. Meaning, in New York, you can have abortion up until the day that you're due. In Tennessee, is different. In Texas, it is 6 weeks. Here in Wisconsin, it is 12 weeks. Every state has different laws concerning it, just like gun laws. I mean, you have some states where an AR-15 is allowed. You have other states that are not. You have some states where I have a conceal and carry. I can walk into places with it. You have other states that don't allow conceal and carry. Every state has their own laws, and then you have the federal that allows each state to regulate such laws. So I would state to those of you, in Texas that are not happy with the heartbeat bill, move to a state that you're happy with. Go to New York. Why don't you go to New York? Here's why. Because you have Democrats fleeing New York because of the high prices, because of the high crime and everything else. Texas, you have lower property taxes, lower crime in many areas. Besides near the border where we have a lot of fentanyl and everything else coming in, and a lot of child sex trafficking happening due to our open borders, due to the whatever you want to call in the White House right now. But when it comes to abortion, I mean, if you walked by a river and saw a woman trying to drown her 1-day-old baby, would you just turn the other cheek and walk away, or would you try to save that baby's life? So many people have the misconception of the Right to Life, and I have been chair for the board for the Right to Life in my district for a couple years now. We have opened up women pregnancy centers, crisis centers, domestic abuse shelters, and we care about mom and baby after the baby's born. We want to keep mom and baby together if that's what mom wants. If mom really just doesn't want to have a baby, then there's open and closed adoption services that we offer them. Otherwise, if they want to keep baby, there's job training, there's counseling, there's rent assistance, we get furniture, diapers, everything that person needs to be able to keep baby and, get on their feet. Which is far more than what welfare or anything else does for these people, or what Democrats do. The Right to Life doesn't just stand with protest signs in front of Planned Parenthood. We do a lot. As does Catholic Charities. But there are some, moms. I mean, if you're in college and you're trying to work on your degree, you're just not ready to be a mom. You don't want that inconvenience, as they say, in their life where adoption comes in place. There's never a reason to murder, to kill another living life, and that's what abortion is. And a lot of people want to say, well, it's the woman's body. Well, if it was the woman's body, in that case, an abortion, the woman would die and not the baby. If it was really her body, it wouldn't be the baby's heartbeat that got stopped. It would be her heartbeat that got stopped. Clearly a separate body with separate DNA. And the baby may not even have the mother's blood type even while the baby is in the mother's womb. So the whole my body, my choice thing completely goes out the window. Just like, you cannot legally inject heroin into your arm. That's your body. Why can't you legally do certain things to it and get put in jail for it? Because there's certain things that are dangerous that you shouldn't do, that are illegal for the protection of yourself, that are made illegal. So that's my 2 cents on this, and I understand that there's people that support abortion. I do not. I did have an abortion when I was 15 years old, and when I had my first son and saw the first ultrasound at 8 weeks, I couldn't believe what I did, and to this day I feel bad for it. Since then, God has led me to be a voice for the silent screams, and I will continue to do so and continue to stand before my state legislators, which I've helped 4 bills get passed in my state of Wisconsin. I will continue fighting for the right to life. God bless you.